僕の名前はアストルフォ。
Fallout Dust is a survival simulator that also serves as an unofficial sequel to New Vegas. In it, many disasters have struck the Mojave, leaving it in a post-apocalyptic state. Will I be able to overcome this ruined wasteland and escape to a better place? That's what we will be finding out in this video. Since Jabo recently released a video on Dust, I started making this one before that, so I would say I'm not a copycat, but these challenge run videos are all copying Mitten Squad anyway. So let's just get on with it. When building my character, I go with 10 strength. Dust drastically lowers your carrying capacity, so I want as much as I can get. Other than that, my stats are well rounded. Besides charisma being at 1, of course. That stat is even more worthless in Dust than in Vanilla. You're lucky if you can find a person who will even want to speak to you. For tag skills, I chose Repair, Medicine, and Lockpick, notably non-combat skills. For traits, I chose Skilled and also Hoarder. I'm going to have a full inventory, so it's an obvious choice. There are 9 different starting points for you to choose from at the beginning. At first, I chose the Brotherhood of Steel Bunker. It starts you off with a 9mm revolver with 2 bullets and a makeshift scythe. A Deathclaw would immediately find me after leaving, and I have 0 armor, and my scythe barely hurts it. So I decided to pick a different starting location, Blackrock Cavern. This point at least gives us some armor, and a semi-decent weapon in the Paladin Toaster. No ranged anything, but it's not like 2 bullets would have done me much good anyhow. Leaving the cave, we're right by Helios 1, but I don't go there. I go to the north to see what's up with the El Dorado substation, and I find hostile NCR troopers. They gun me down, so I decide to just avoid them and make my way to Unstone. Unstone is a mod to go along with Dust that adds an underground settlement. I chose Blackrock because it's the closest to this place. I found some tribals on the road that killed me, but upon reloading they were attacked by ghouls and then NCR troopers. I waited for the troopers to leave and picked up the goodies that were on the tribals. Now I have a few guns, but not much ammo for them. I also picked up a Deathclaw gauntlet. While looking for Understone, I found the NCR Ranger safe house. There was a ranger just inside the cave entrance, and I killed her and took her armor and service rifle. Further in there were ghouls, so I killed them and chose not to go into the shack itself, fearing what's inside. After wandering for a bit, I find Understone and start exploring the settlement. There are a bunch of locked containers, but I have no bobby pins, so I can't get into them. Other than that, there are a ton of ingestible items lying around, so I take what I can carry. This settlement is pretty bare bones. No one has voice acting, which is disappointing. There's a doctor inside that will heal us for 50 caps, and I will be making use of his services frequently. I leave the town and kill a cannibal, taking his Soviet assault rifle. I then go towards the followers' outpost, but it's overrun with ghouls and they kill me. So I kill the cannibal again and choose to follow the road this time. I take out a pack of dogs and reach the Grub and Gulp, where there are surprisingly some friendly people. I unfortunately can't trade with any of them, but there are some dead people with good equipment for some reason. I took a while trying to beat these tribals, but they were too powerful, so I ended up going around them. While I was fighting some different tribals, NCR ambushed me, but I took them out with the gauntlet while they were fiddling with their guns. I dropped a good bit of food after looting them, which was a mistake. I marked the east pump station on the map, and fast traveled back to Understone. I thought you weren't able to fast travel in Dust, but I guess you can. I healed up and went north of the pump station and fought some cannibals. They leveled me up to 2, and I put my points into Lockpick and chose the Sound of Mind perk. It lets us do 10% more damage and makes us immune to critical hits. It also gives you more health for having more sanity, but sanity points are hard to come by. My rads had increased, so I went back to Understone to pick up some alcohol. Alcohol lowers radiation like in Stalker. I got to Durable Duns and there were a few survivors there for me to take out. I got the Van Graff's black combat armor and a small backpack. I kept going north and I couldn't see much because there was a lot of fog, but the enemies could see me, which was annoying. I got to the Gunrunners and there were 2 Vendertrons in the kiosk. Neither of them would sell to me because the Gunrunners, who have become cannibals, were trying to shoot me. I couldn't get in and fight them yet because I have no bobby pins. Now that they're marked though, I can come back when I do have bobby pins. Next I check out the Repcon facility, and on one of the dead tribals inside was a Bardiche. This is the best melee weapon I've come across yet. Back outside, I killed some raiders, and one of them had a bobby pin. So I went back to the gun runners, picked the lock, and killed the cannibals outside the building. I leveled up and got to choose another perk. I took Lead Belly for less radiation from food and drink. I looted everything off their bodies and sold it to the Vendertron. The Vendertron didn't have a very wide selection of weapons, so I didn't buy anything. Now that I have a bobby pin, I can go back to Understone and open a bunch of containers. But they were all empty. That was disappointing. I started to run low on food and water, so I went to the lady that's supposed to sell food, but she didn't have any. I checked the sharecropper greenhouses, but there was no food inside. I went towards Camp McCarran, but got swarmed by ghouls. I quit for the day and read about where to find food and water. Coincidentally, there is infinite clean water inside the East Pump Station, which is where I left off at. I healed up and set my water needs to 0, and then left in search of food. In my way were an NCR trooper and a heavy trooper. I killed the normal one with my Soviet assault rifle and charged the heavy and took him down with the Bardiche. I took the heavy's armor and super sledge by using the technique of dropping items and carrying them outside of your inventory. I stored stuff in the toolbox inside the pump station. This place will now be my home base. I went back to the dead troopers and picked up what I dropped to take back to store. After leaving again, a random survivor attacks me, and she had a Brahmin steak on her, and also a pack Brahmin I could kill for its meat. I was getting sleepy after that, and unfortunately there's no bed at my new home, so I fast traveled to Understone to sleep in one of their mini beds. I then went to the former Grub and Gulp and traveled north to find my target, tunnelers. I was after their meat, but they're after mine too, and there were way too many of them, so they killed me. So I headed east from the pump station and killed a few tunnelers, but they weren't dropping any meat. The internet lied to me. At least I got a level up and took Burden to Bear, which only adds 10 more carry weight. At this point I didn't know where I was going to get food from, so I traveled to Vault 11 to look for rat meat of all things. Instead I found ants, and I'd never been so happy to eat ant meat. I then went to the 188 and took out a person in real NCR power armor. She also has a hardened super sledge that is probably just renamed Oh Baby. I beat her with a lucky crit from the hunting carbine. I tried to clear out the rest of them, but there were too many guys with guns, so I telekinesis the armor over to Understone. The raiders somehow got into the store with all the NPCs bunched up and got quickly killed. After that, I went down to Camp McCarran, which is blocked off. I went into the sewers and there were a bunch of ghost people. I tried to fight them, but they're really annoying because they'll throw you a ridiculous distance. Every time I would die or reload a save, the game would crash, which was really annoying. I ran around for a while, but started to run out of resources, so I decided to come back later. The ladder wasn't doing anything, so I had to TCL out. From reading later, it seems like it's intentional that you can't get out, but it just seems like a bug because you can interact with the ladder, but it doesn't do anything. If they wanted it to be clear that you're meant to be trapped, they should have just deleted the ladder. I went back to Vault 11 to look for rats, but it seems like they were replaced by ghost people. There were more ants though, so I took their meat and left. I went to El Dorado Dry Lake to hunt more ants, but my double barrel shotgun really sucks. So I lured them all to the sledge and used all my 12 gauge taking them out. But I got a lot of food out of it. I went back to the sewers and killed some cannibals and got to level 5. Most of the perks have been given drawbacks like traits, so I just chose Swift Learner. I killed some ghouls and then found a bit of loot, but realized that every time I opened my Pip-Boy it would automatically drop an item. And I saw that my Soviet assault rifle was missing, and it dropped it without me knowing. I didn't know what was going on, so I looked it up, and apparently it's a problem with my controller. So I guess I'm gonna have to buy a new Xbox controller. I hooked up my PS4 controller, and it's not doing the dropping thing anymore. Because of all these controller shenanigans, I forgot to hit record, so I missed some footage of me giving myself my rifle back with gear lists and having an epic fight with cannibals. Which, don't worry, there will be more tough fights ahead. There were so many cannibals that I decided to reload a save and leave again. I went back to clear out the 188 to look for food but found none. I tried to go to Camp Golf next, but I couldn't even get close before the NCR would murder me. I decided that in order to make real progress, I would need to level up. So I fast traveled to Black Rock Cavern where we started and did stuff around there. Took out the cannibal guards at Helios 1, but didn't bother going inside. At Old Lady Gibson's there are a bunch of dogs, and I killed them and I get some good meat. I tried going further south to Novak, but there were goons with automatic weapons that gunned me down. I adjusted my trajectory a bit and found a bunch of centaurs. They ate a ton of 20 gauge ammo, but I leveled up to 6 so I could put science and repair up to 40 and take the power armor training perk. Went back to Understone where I had stored the power armor and put it on. I also stopped in to cure my radiation sickness while I was there. Now that I had power armor, I tried the sewers one last time, but there were just too many guys. So I reloaded the save again and never went back there. I found a dead tribal by Novak with a dead blow hammer, which was surprisingly more powerful than my super sledge. So I switched them out. I got a coalition rifle in 308 from killing a tribal, and after killing another tribal I became insane. I want to keep this a sane run, so I reload a save and drink the alcohol I have in my inventory. I wanted to use the Vindertron again, so I went to the Gunrunners and fought them. There were 2 Vindertrons this time too, but one of them was outside the kiosk fighting enemies for some reason. I cleared out the ones inside the building easier than I expected. I looted everything intending to sell it to the Vindertron, but he didn't have enough caps and buying ammo was out of the question because it was too heavy. So I stored everything in this trash can for later. I never came back to it, lol. I went back to Understone and paid the doctor to cure my addiction, but it didn't actually work for some reason. I had to use a console command to get rid of it. I would have just left it and become a drunk for the rest of the playthrough, but being addicted lowers your sanity. I went back to Camp Golf and used an M1911 I got from the Gunrunners against the NCR troopers. It did pretty decent for not surpassing their damage thresholds. It does reload painfully slow though. I advanced along the sandbags and took cover in the watchtowers. I would use the hammer when they got close, and switch to the 1911 and the coalition rifle when they were at range. They were overwhelming me, so I went behind the sandbags and advanced up trying to lose the ones by the lake. When I got to the tents, I used the coalition rifle against a heavy, and then hammered the rest. One of them had a better 1911 that unfortunately couldn't be repaired with the old one. I also hammered the rangers guarding the outside of the main building. Once inside, I tried fat mining the rangers, but they would shoot me before it would even go off. So I decided to come back in the middle of the night when they're sleeping. But just waiting outside would kill me. I think the needs are a little too harsh. You should be able to go more than 24 hours without them. I went back to the pump station to store stuff and also drink water. I then fast traveled back to Camp Golf, and it put me in the middle of the tents, and the troopers near the lake could see me. I brought the hammer down upon them, and the lake is actually clean water, so I used it to heal up. I went in a tent, but that was a mistake because all the tents are in the same cell, so it alerted the troopers inside the others, and they came out and killed me. So I reloaded a save. While looting dead troopers, I found a classic super sledge, which is more powerful than the hammer I've been using, so I switched them. I waited until nighttime and entered the building even though I had a bunch of debuffs. There was still one up that attacked me, and he would step on my fat mine while I was too close to it still. I reloaded and remembered to drink up at the lake and then went in, threw the mine immediately, and ran to the other side of the place. I threw out the second one and I think they both exploded. When the rangers would come around the corner, I'd blast them with slugs from my hunting shotgun, which did surprisingly well. A lot of the rangers had riot gear, so I looted it and repaired it to replace my breaking armor. I killed some more the same way, and then advanced to the one in power armor and vatsed him while he was reloading. He had the key to the strip, so we can head there after this. I leveled up and took Shotgun Surgeon. There was a ton of food and stuff to loot, so that was nice. Back at Understone, I drank a bunch of alcohol to increase my sanity, but after I got addicted, the doctor wouldn't cure me for some reason, so I just reloaded a save and didn't drink the alcohol. I stored some stuff and decided that I'm ready for the strip, so I fast traveled close to Freeside and at the gate was met with ghouls. And inside there were many, many more. What really sucks about fighting ghouls is that you have to get a headshot to kill them. This even counts for melee, which is pretty dumb. There were so many ghouls that eventually I just started to run past them all. Killing them would be impossible. The bus door to the second part of Freeside was locked, so I ran to the door that lets out by the Van Graffs, and it wasn't. I ran through the cloud and made it to the strip gate, and went inside the Lucky 38. Inside was an absurd number of centaurs. I would have taken them all down eventually, but clobbering them for so long broke my super sledge, so I just reloaded because it wasn't worth it. I took the elevator to the presidential suite, and looted it for goodies, including an advanced radiation suit which will be very helpful. The strip is covered in radiation. Notably, I found a trunk with a good bit of stim packs and a backpack that adds 51 carry weight. After leaving, I went into Gamora to see what was going on there. They've all become cloud victims, and they unsurprisingly want to kill me. On one of them, I found a sacrificial knife, which is my main melee weapon for the rest of the playthrough. I think it's a renamed blood nap. What's nice about it is that we can repair it with any combat knives we find. There's a ton of alcohol to loot in here, so we won't have to worry about sanity anymore. I left Gamora to go to the next part of the strip, but there's a truck blocking it. Turns out there's a door in Gamora that links to the tops that I have to find. I messed around in the underground floor for a while, and eventually found a vent leading to the cashier's room. In here was the door to get to the tops. It's predictably filled with ghouls, so I just make for the exit immediately. More ghouls and radiation on the strip, so I put on my advanced rad suit and make a run for the NCR embassy. This part really feels like a zombie game because we're just running past all the ghouls. Reminds me of Dead Rising a bit. I went into the embassy and killed one guy who just so happened to have the monorail key, which will take us to Camp McCarran. Once I get inside, the NCR obviously try to gun me down. The vertibird to escape is in the big open section at the back of the camp, so I run down to the garage door exit to it and I get stuck in an invisible wall. The doors don't work for some reason. This is really stupid. They should have just put stuff in front of the doors if they didn't want you going through. This is just laziness disguising itself as difficulty. Anyway, after reloading a save to get free, I have to make my way through the airport all the way down to Contreras' room, where there's a little door. There are a bunch of ghouls in this part that the NCR are fighting for some reason, so I use them as a distraction to run past. I exit through the door, and of course it's as far away from the vertibird as it can possibly be. There are NCR troopers and ghouls, so I just run and spam stim packs when necessary. I finally reach the ladder and take the vertibird and it crashes at the Sierra Madre. Great, there's still more. I tried to kill some ghost people but figured it was a waste of time, so I ran past them and found the gate to the casino proper. I ran past Legion ghouls and made it inside, and immediately got killed by a hologram. I was very frustrated here and didn't know what to do, so I looked it up, and apparently you're not supposed to go into the casino at all. So I loaded an earlier save and took a key off of a dead Elijah. This is supposed to get us in the sewers, but I found the right manhole and the key wouldn't unlock it. I looked up a guide and sure enough, this key is supposed to open this manhole, so I ended up having the console command it to get in. In the sewers were more ghosts and a maze-like layout, so I just wandered around until I found a Brotherhood of Steel bunker. I knew this wasn't right, so I once again consulted the guide on where to go, so I hopped my crippled body past the ghosts and to a ladder, which led to the safety of Camp Aditum. It was extremely dark, so I waited a little bit and walked around. None of the NPCs had dialogue, and I looked it up one final time, and the credits are supposed to play when you get here. I went into this building and then the credits finally played. That was certainly an experience. Would I recommend playing Dust? Well, it was fun at first, but the convoluted way of exiting the Mojave was not very fun. It was frustrating having to find a key in a specific place to advance. I would only recommend playing Dust if you enjoyed the Dead Money DLC. Thank you for watching. If you would like to check out my other New Vegas challenges, I have a playlist of them on screen. And don't forget to like and subscribe.